departments and everything, if you have any questions.
Let's bring this meeting to order. This is the Tuesday, May 13, 2014, Village North Bennington Board of Trustees meeting. First item on the agenda is to review and approve minutes of April 8.
I'll move we accept them as printed.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will abstain.
Yeah.
That's correct. I think the first thing that we will do now, well, let's get the warrants out of the way. The warrant. Too small, I can't see it here. There it is. Any questions, changes, concerns?
I had a question. What was the People's United for?
Oh, that was a truck payment.
Okay, that was just a payment.
Yeah, that was a payment for the truck, the highway truck.
Okay.
Do we have one more year of
I
that?
think so.
Yeah.
Do you know Mary? No,
Sure.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can check.
Thought this might be the last payment.
Really?
I'm not sure.
Time does fly. It'd be
Yeah.
nice if it was. wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just in
Oh,
time.
maybe this year it is the last year. And just a name that didn't seem familiar was Viking.
That's for the fountain.
Okay.
No.
No?
Viking Hives, it came from David.
Okay. We had a Viking
No, it's Viking Hives, CIVES. Okay.
What do they do?
Not from David, maybe you know.
No, that's just one lower. William Stone was a fountain.
Yeah.
Is that what-
Yeah.
Fountain.
Which equipment?
That's just the snowblower about where the road breaks down for the track,
Is that $500?
But what did you pay for it?
$500.
Okay, well,
Oh,
so
that's what
that's
that is
it
then.
then.
That's not fountain.
Yeah, okay.
so, Laura, just make sure that's in the proper place.
I think it is because it's a 53
Doesn't seem
account.
to be under
It's a
fountain.
5340, okay.
Yep, so it's in the.
All right. Anything else?
I will make a motion to approve the warrant. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does someone
Okay.
have a clean copy to sign?
You know, I don't have a, this is the problem. Oh, you,
Yeah, I'm still a paper guy. I print it off.
I printed one for us too, I think. Oh, look who's here.
Ah.
Welcome, David. Not a problem. How are things? Things good?
Oh, yeah, I was at a VAE meeting.
Pam,
Yes.
I guess you're on,
Okay.
and you can come up here and
All right, I have some packets for you here, if you want to just pass those around.
We didn't do the,
Oh, we didn't do the other warrant.
We can do it after.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Just-
Just remind me.
Yep.
Just for clarification, this is Pam from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, speaking to us about a potential change in our insurance coverage for the village.
So just to give you kind of a little
Packet
background on us,
of insurance information.
PASIF stands for Property and Casualty Intermunicipal Fund. It was formed back in 1986 as a nonprofit risk management organization, and we're not an insurance company. In the late 1980s, commercial insurers kind of abandoned the municipal market. And so everyone was scrambling, looking for coverage, and came to VLCT to see if there was something we could do, and this was formed. So we're a little different because what we do is it's about risk pools, and ours is about risk management. We have a lot of programs that are geared towards municipalities, and it's about preventing losses, and so that's where we're a little different. We are a nonprofit. We don't, there's no commission here. So what I did notice in some of the things with your coverage and what we offer are probably, there's a list of highlights and some distinctions about what we offer, but one of the things is that we have higher liability limits than what you have. We have kind of a standard, all our coverages, everybody gets what we have. It's not you take this or you take that, because our coverages are geared towards municipal entities. So it's up to 10 million in liability, and it looks like your coverage is 1 million per occurrence with like a $3 million aggregate. So the most they would pay for all claims is 3 million in a year. I mean, hopefully you wouldn't have to do that, but that is some of the differences. I'm not sure about what your flood and earthquake is. We had, our members were pretty glad that they had what they had when Irene came, and so that's some of that little differences. We offer public officials liability and employment practices liability. Some of those claims that happen are, it's a big, litigation is real strong right now in those types of claims with discrimination in, selecting and promoting employees, with age discrimination, sexual harassment, those types of claims. So I believe your limits are 1 million for that. And again, we have up to the $10 million limit. Some of the things that are a little different is we have all of our claims adjusters are in-house. Everybody's in Montpelier, Vermont. And the other thing that we do is we have a lot of loss control. We have, right now, I think you pay for your CDL drug and alcohol testing. It's so much per driver that I think is it 150? I think it's 150 per driver that we offer free if you're with Passive. We have flagger certification training. We have coaching the emergency vehicles. We have a driving simulator. We offer a lot of just programs that are geared towards municipalities in the loss control area. But we also have scholarship program that you're going to see on the left-hand side, the green and the yellow packet. So we have a scholarship program and a grant program. So the grant program is up to $5,000 a year. It's a 50-50 match, and it tells about it in there. Actually, most of the money has been gone, is almost gone, because it's been a really popular program. Things that you would normally maybe buy that you can end up, like I said, getting up to a 50-50 grant, up to $5,000. So, and the other is a scholarship program, up to $2,500. You can, send one person. You can have someone come in and do classes. That explains it there too. So those are really a couple really good programs that have worked good for us, and members have taken advantage of. We also have an online university that we offer. There's another little packet, a little flyer in there about the Employee Assistance Program, which is also available to passive members 24/7 for all kinds of resources and counseling. So I've hit the highlights. Do you have any specific questions?
So is your pool it's all Vermont towns and cities?
Yes. You have to be a municipal entity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either a town, city, or we do districts, small districts, but you have to go through eligibility requirements. it's why our coverages are really geared towards municipal entities, because that's all we do.
Makes sense.
And we're governed by a board of directors that's made up of municipal officials, so they're the ones that make the decisions. Every year, money comes back to the membership in the form of a contribution credit. So it look at, what the surplus is, certain years that have been closed, there's a formula that it goes to, so it's not, there's not profits going somewhere, the money comes back to the membership.
And you've looked over our current?
I did.
And it seems to compare well to it?
What
What would we be giving up out of that?
I think the difference between what you have and what we offer, one is your limits are lower. We have up to 10 million, you have up to 3 million. And we offer a lot of loss control programs and other services that are available that I don't believe you're getting right now from your current insurer.
Okay.
Such as, like Stevens Advanced Driver Training, or we have flagger certification. We have a lot of programs for the fire departments that are available through loss control. So, and it's not something that you have to pay for, they're all free.
Okay.
So I think there may be one difference in the fire department, I'm not sure exactly. There's a limit that they have, and it may be on their vehicles that they have some type of like a replacement cost, where normally vehicles are insured at actual cash value. If one of the trucks goes, it's what it's worth at the time of the loss.
Yep.
Some of the fire trucks the way we do it is on what we call a modified actual cash value. So we would find another truck, same equipment, same age. You could either buy that truck or get the money for it. In some cases, and we also offer this, and I'm not exactly sure because I couldn't tell, I think there's up to a limit, but what they call replacement costs. So one of the trucks, let's say somebody put a value of 200,000 on it, so they would get maybe up to that value of what that truck is. I don't know if that's something that's extra. We have a different rate for that. That's something that we could look at if somebody really wanted to look at that. The other thing that we do is we have an appraiser go out and look at buildings, and we cover them for what we call guaranteed replacement cost. So we would have an appraisal company come out, look at your buildings. They put the value on for what we call guaranteed replacement. And so if something happened to that building, we have to, because we put the value on it, we have to replace it. It's not like co-insurance, or it's not, you can change the value on something. If you had a building that you maybe wouldn't replace the way that it is because it's not functional.
Right.
You can say, okay, we only want to put 50,000 on this building instead of what you say it's worth. And, that's an option.
Are the valuations made available to us so that we can look at those?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And do you find what you guys are proposing more or less comprehensive than our current insurance?
I think we offer a lot more resources for you and higher limits, and something that's maybe a little more geared towards your entity.
Okay.
Any other questions?
How much of the cost is driven by the size of, well, the number of employees, the number of, amount of equipment? We're a small village in comparison to, say, other places.
It's all done based on, there's a rate for auto liability and auto physical damage. There's a rate for buildings, so it's not like you're paying, what a larger community is. Actually, it's kind of backwards. It's like you're getting services that, you're a smaller member that's getting services that the larger entities in some cases get. So I think you're getting a little more for your money. It's not, everybody's rated based on what they have. So it's, some things are based off your budget. There are some things there are minimums on, such as crime, but it's not that you would be paying more because you're smaller.
But we get the same advantages with
Yeah.
the grants and the
Yes.
scholarships and everything.
Well, I'm glad that we've gotten this far with this, and I guess we'll be waiting to hear from our current insurer.
Okay.
Did they
What-
mention
what
when we
is-
were gonna get that quote? Did you meet the day? Do we have a timeline for a quote?
He's
You know-
coming on June 10th.
He called, I wondered, yeah,
He did.
so he'll come and I guess pitch his deal.
If you have, when it gets down to it, if you have some specific questions, please feel free to, put this together, or I can come back or
This all has to be done by re-enrollment time,
Your July 1, right?
Yeah.
July
Yeah.
1, yeah.
yeah, to answer your question too, our rates are, we have to file our rates with the Department of Financial Regulation. We can't just do what we want to do. We have an actuary that looks at the numbers and so there's a formula.
Well, thank you.
So timeline would be fine with that, so if we get the quote, June 10,
Yeah, it's plenty, if you're July 1, so as long as we know, maybe, the day before.
because it's already figured out, this is a matter of hitting the button, right?
Yeah,
We'll be in touch.
Send them a check.
I will say, I am drawn to some of the other advantages of your program, so it's not gonna be just a who's the cheapest bid game.
Or apples and apples, yeah.
Now, and the thing that, because we talked earlier,
yeah,
that, so many insurance companies, when they want new business, you get a rate that's really good, only to find out a year later that now it's doubled and then it's tripled and then it's, which, the way you're organized, that's kind of not even possible.
yeah, and we go from we're on a calendar year, are you fiscal, or is it just, okay, so we would go from July to December 31st, and then start over again in January, so everybody's on a calendar year for,
So there could be some adjustments in January 1st.
yes, there could be. And that's a yearly figure that we
Yeah.
gave you, so would get prorated.
Very good. Where do you live?
Montpelier.
I'm sorry you have to.
No, it's fine. I told Norm, I started out today in Weybridge, which is up past Shelburne.
Oh, wow.
And then went to Shelburne, came back down to Montpelier, and then ended up here. So I've been, but it was a great day. It was a great day for riding. So, thank you so much for letting us quote. And like I said, if you have any specific questions, please,
We'll be in touch.
you've got my card there somewhere.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Payroll, yep.
Oh, yeah, payroll warrant. We passed two of the warrant, but we didn't do the second one,
We didn't pass the
the payroll.
payroll warrant.
Move we approve the warrant?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I got one here.
Well, have you-
We've already done
Yeah, I've already torn mine apart.
You've already done it all?
Gave up your.
I just want to sign on top for a change.
Somebody taking my place here with the warrants?
Citizen comments, being that there are no citizens, we can move on to Norm's Highway Facilities Report. Thanks, Norm, by the way, coming in on your vacation to keep us updated.
Well, obviously, spring has sprung, thank goodness.
I thought it was summer yesterday.
Yeah, we started doing some mowing. We're busy down in the center of town, in Lincoln Square with the fountain project, that's gonna start coming pretty good. We're changing a couple culverts that we've had almost failed this winter, you know, we got squeaked by. You know, one thing we need to talk about is College Road, whether we wanna do something with it. You know, how much money you wanna throw at it. I mean, the road is atrocious. That would be a great word. That'd probably put it on a good light.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, you know, we've got a grant for Bank Street. You know, in case you're asking, Bank Street is a different class of road than College Road, or else we would have applied for a grant there. There's no grant money for those styles. We've been approved through the district here, and now it's going to the state. They've never not approved something that got approved through the office, your local office, so I'm sure we're gonna get it, and we have up to 2 years to do that. You know, other than that, and then we have some ongoing equipment issues, and, you know, one of the things I think we should do is, and I believe I sent the email to you and Bill, you know, we should probably thin down some of our stock. I mean, and some of those things that we got through the government access program that were good buys, and we bought them just to sell them to help finance some other things, and we're to the point where we're all free and clear, and now it's time to, you know, take a $500 thing and turn it into a $4,500 thing. I've looked at a company called Government Auctions, and I really believe that that's where we should list. We'll start with one thing and see how it goes, but the deal with Government Auctions, and I've done some research on each individual piece of equipment, is the last bid we don't have to take. So we can, you know, if it gets to, let's say we don't put they don't want reserves on them, but if an item that we deem is worth $1,000 and it only gets, you know, 900, we can say we don't want to sell it and pull it, and there's no harm, no foul.
No commission at that point?
No commission ever. The winning bidder pays the commission.
Premium.
So it's pretty much just a win-win-win really for us.
So there's no listing fee or anything?
Not if you're a municipality. And, you know, it goes out 50 states, you know, buyer, you know, they're just kind of like a government thing. They're, you know, the buyers pays everything, so.
When Norm and I talked about it, one of the things we talked about gets back to whenever we can talk to Marion, look at the budget, look at a little bit of the historical budget, figure out where we are, come up with a list of what we can get rid of and what we need, and figure out how to get from point A to point B.
Because you've probably got a pretty good handle on everything we've got and what we need and what we don't need already.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you know, like we'll say our ditcher, right? We went, it was $500 to us. Worth $9,000. You know, now I don't think anybody will ever pay book price for it because it's specialized piece of equipment. But you know what? I wouldn't sell it for anything less than, you know, in the 4s or 5s. And every dealer in the world says they got, I've got people calling. But, you know, with us, it's hard to put a price on something and do a private sale thing like that. But you can throw it on that government auction website. You can have your minimum number. I mean, obviously, you know, we wouldn't get rid of anything that we could get, let's just say we could get scrap value for and make more money, right?
Right.
You know, and there's things that we can do, and that's a good way, it's a very good outlet to sell stuff, because we can say, no, you know, that's not our money.
Right.
And, you know, the internet makes the world that much smaller, so.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few things. I mean, I did some math and I did a spreadsheet. I know I showed Mary, and you know, like our tracks, right? We're looking at putting, if the guy ever calls me back, you know, 3,500 to $4,000 in that motor at a minimum. So, you know, let's just say the one that the demo that we're gonna go get, you know, he wants $11,000 for it. So there's $4,000 that we're gonna spend on something and hope that it's good, right? So now we're really down to 5,500. Now we sell it to, you know, this or this, and you know what I mean? The thing pays for itself. I mean, people don't realize the mileage of sidewalk. We have almost as much mileage of sidewalk as we do road.
Yeah.
You know, and
Probably
that's-
more, because some of them are
you know,
double-sided. We've got
Yeah.
sidewalks on both sides of a
Yeah.
road,
You
so
know,
I bet you we've got more.
that poor John Deere, I mean, we've left it alone forever, and, I'm knock on wood, that thing's been, it's held up, I mean, it's done.
Now, what's the feeling on, so if we were gonna sell equipment, obviously there would, I mean, in my mind, that money gained would always be earmarked for equipment and it wouldn't be shuffled anywhere else. I mean,
Well, that's where I feel.
only seems like, it seems like if that's where the money came from to buy it, and
Absolutely.
the idea was, I mean, I would think that
Sure.
Well,
we wouldn't try to take and maneuver that anywhere else. It would go right toward,
We were talking
seems like you
about,
did most of the legwork, it should benefit your.
Well, look at it, like our grader, okay, and that, our grader's in 1945 a year. There's tons of people who buy that. That's why we picked it up, it's a cat, okay? We've got $1,000 in it sitting here. You could scrap it for more than that. That's a good piece that you don't scrap. But let's say realistically, $4,000 or $5,000. Well, now, again, we would wait until it comes into something out at Fort Drum that's a little further away. But last year we missed 4 of them that were 1995s with 200 hours on them. The town up north that we went with Bill to the legislature and beat the people wanting to close the program back, they bought 3 of them just to sell. That's all they did. Now their board, they're kind of in a little bit of a used car lot, and and we're dabbling in that, a little bit, But dabble is where we want to be, right? But I mean, they make
We can't afford to do anything less than.
right, but honestly, if you sit here and you watch and I can prove you the numbers in 18 months to 2 years, that program could be extremely profitable.
yeah.
We don't, our sweeper that we use constantly, we haven't maintained that in 3 years. So think there's a value to that we, we trade off and we barter. We just had a $2,500 culvert put in, and we didn't pay a dime. So, there's ways to work the system and legally, 100%, and, now we're to that point that we need to thin out a few things and then move along, Now, like a sidewalk tractor would be great. I mean, we put that one last year, it was a tractor just like our John Deere in max. But those things don't come up very often, and when they do, they get swiped,
And who gets it? The first person to ask for it?
No, there's a pecking order, and like federal,
Depends on what you-
aviation, anything to do with food industry, like the national food resource industry. If there is and I don't know, politically correct, but like a reservation, an Indian reservation, they get it like that, like the feds, the airports. And then it comes down to, cities and towns, and then we're above like the Boy Scouts or the fire. I mean,
Other nonprofits.
Marlene, they wanted a tent. They wanted a tent forever. I can't get them to commit. We lost like 7 hospital tents. I mean, these things are completely sealed. They were in Jersey for $400, $500. This is a $30,000 tent. That's not to get into this program. Every once in a while you get a piece of junk. That's there. But we've done extremely well in that.
Yeah, and I think he brings up a good point that now it's, in getting rid of it and moving it, we can turn 3 broken pieces into 1 reliable piece, so we don't have, you're not working as a mechanic all winter long trying to
Yeah.
limp stuff along,
You gotta remember, our tractor that we mow, now, that'll come here next month, but, that roadside mower, the boom mower, we've been looking at forever. It's a $12,000 mower, we just bought for $4,000, right? The guy from Viking, nobody really had a tractor that wanted to use it. That fits us perfect. If we keep, let's say we go get our motor and we go find somebody locally and try to do this, which nobody kind of wanted to, and we rebuild it. We sell the little John Deere. We keep that older trackless, but we got some time now. Now we can, and then we have 2 of the same exact like pieces just to mix and match and share. We bought that $500 snowblower the day before it came here the day before we got that 2.5-foot storm. You know, and the tractors broke the day after.
Yeah.
You know, but guess what? If we didn't have that, we would have been
You'd be in
in some
deep trouble.
serious trouble.
Yeah.
And that snow blower for the tractors was $500. The gearbox to fix that little John Deere,
Was 9.
that was serviceable. You know, it used us for a lot of years, but they beat the bag out of it. Was $900. So
Yeah.
now, so that's where we stand.
So I think we're all in agreement with approaching this, but it's the devil in the details and whether or not a couple of us want to just sit down with you and go over what you propose specifically, and, then we get a feeling if we feel comfortable with that, which I think we probably will. But just so we know what transactions we're looking to do and how we're gonna do them.
Well, yeah, absolutely, like I said, I think that program is, and I've spent a lot of time with them, and it's this municipal bid, MUSI bid they call it, and talking with them and going over stuff, and I think that's the fairest way for to sell everything. But I would only start with one piece and then see how it works out, because, that could go south fast, but.
Yeah.
Are you off vacation next week?
Yes.
Okay, I need to catch you on that final report for the back roads grant.
Yes, okay.
And Laurie, I need a copy of the BCRC invoice for, it's $3,700 for the Jim Henderson send in.
Yeah, I have it right here.
You can just make a copy and put it in the mail to me, because I need that that'll get repaid by the Better Back Roads grant. And one more thing for you, Norm, not that I'm recommending this, but the bicycle and pedestrian grant program is up again, and that's one of the few that's only a 10% match, but I think we got enough on our plate.
I
Right
think
now.
you do too. I mean, I'd really like to, that'd be great if we could encourage the members that are listening that live in Shasberry along the upper end of Bank Street to get the Shasberry board to apply for that grant, because we promised that we would plow it in the wintertime if they actually put in a hard surface. So if you happen to live
Maybe
there and you'd like to call the Shasberry town office, I'm sure they would.
Yeah, and sidewalks are one of their top priorities, so it's, if you're talking about a sidewalk, that's almost a given if it's in a pedestrian. And this, of course, that area is where the kids walk back and forth to school, so.
Yeah, there's a considerable amount of pedestrian traffic that,
Yeah.
when we worked on our sidewalk last year, everybody kept saying, well, why aren't you going further? Well, it's not a road. But again, we've committed to saying that we would plow it in the wintertime if they put it in. It's only 2 more blocks off. It's not like
Yeah.
that big a deal.
But this is one of the better grants. I mean, it's, most of them are 20% or more, and this is only 10%.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive.
The only one better than that is the Safe Routes to School grant, which is no match.
We have to dig into that again.
See if it still exists.
I keep looking it up on the internet, and they don't announce it, but they say it's still in effect, so I don't know what the story is on it.
I was under the understanding, I thought she was gonna keep us, do you remember that, Lori? With the safe routes to school? She was gonna kind of
Occasionally
notify or
I
something
get-
with us?
Yeah, and they
Notify us
said-
when something,
And the last information that I received was that they're going to announce applications for this again in October of 14.
Okay.
right, and that was like, because I remember the last time, that was almost a year ago you
Because
heard
we
that, right? It
talked
was a while
about, I
ago.
think it was in the fall that was
Okay.
the last correspondence.
Yeah, because
And
what,
we got declined last time based on some kind of
yeah, what I
spurious-
found out, because I talked to people, because the last time it was kind of it was a done deal before we ever got in on it. What they, because this is administered by the Department of Transportation again, so they go by the same rules. What they like to see is to have you do a feasibility study first, where you've paid an engineer to do the basic research and everything before you apply for the big grant. And
But we had
Yeah,
done that.
and we had,
we didn't really.
no, I think what we got was, we had somebody come down,
He didn't know anything
but
about
it
it.
wasn't really, It was,
We asked him questions and we knew more about it than he did.
Yeah.
Right, do you remember down near,
Oh, it was
like,
terrible.
Joe's store?
Yeah, that was
right
the issue.
down Bank, yeah.
But what I'm talking about is, they'd do a study that'd probably be 30, 40 pages, estimating all the costs and doing researching all the laws and everything. And the Department of Transportation is just like, we did that for this sidewalk here. You write the grant, it's almost like, they don't even read your grant, they just give it to you. But without that,
Don't jinx it.
without doing that first,
right.
it's gonna be very difficult. And what had happened last time, there was enough people that had already done that we didn't have a prayer. So when the next one that comes up, I think that's the approach we should take, and then,
Yeah. Cause I've got everything
I have
from
everything
that still.
too, yeah.
So at least we can, if we did have somebody come down, we could say, here's what we had in mind,
Right.
and they could just kinda,
right, and
Take and run
then
with
they
it.
do that study like the one we got for this here.
Yeah.
And that was very well done,
Oh, yeah.
and all the costs, and all, looking into all the regulations,
Mm-hmm.
about everything that has to be done, the handicapped access stuff. And
Yep.
there's
So
a
where
lot.
are we on this? This is the grant for this is
It's a bicycle and pedestrian grant.
but it's the design study.
No, it's the construction, we've already done that.
How much was that for?
90-some thousand dollars,
With what match?
10%,
That's that program we just was talking about.
yeah, right.
And that's for the
And that
sidewalk going up past the Aldrich House?
Yeah, and it'd probably be, they estimate 3 years before you actually see any pavement going down.
Well, it's gonna be a hard sell. Will you be at Aldrich's next Saturday?
Probably not.
Okay.
Why?
Well, I know the kids will be there and they're gonna wanna talk to us about sidewalks and we'll talk about tearing bushes out and doing the things.
I
necessary.
doubt Rachel will be able to make it, but
Right.
I'll try and stop.
She's
in
not
just to-
home yet.
Oh, yeah, it's keeping her down is the problem.
She's home?
Yeah, already went
She's
to a meeting
home.
too.
She decided Friday it was all over and then she got up out of bed and started walking around the hospital, so they sent her home.
She was at the library meeting today too.
I know.
Already back to work.
Well, that's good. Actually, that's the best way to do it.
Since we're talking facilities or whatever, I just wanted to mention that Norm and myself and Jim Sullivan met with
Oh, good.
Scott from V-Trans. This is a very interesting conversation. I'm not sure I can capsulize it here, David, but the gist of it is that we have a $74,000 grant with a 20% local match for a total of $92,000. And there was quite a bit of discussion about, because it's federal money, how much of the usual federal process we needed to go through to do a roof repair. This was for the repair of the
Right.
roof here, yeah. And so there was some thought on Scott's part that it didn't need to have all the pieces that a road construction would need, because it seemed much more straightforward in terms of what needed to be done. So we talked about how to move from where we were now, in which we had used a local architectural firm to draw up an initial plan for the grant, and whether we could use them to move forward on a more detailed scope of the work. And also, Jim Sullivan was going to go ahead and see which contractors are pre-qualified to do the work, because it is a historic building. And so Jim's going to work on that piece.
So that would be the actual construction part of it as opposed to the engineering?
Well, there need to be a little more done on the engineering, but not to the same, Scott didn't think to the same extent that you would
For a road.
for a road, yeah.
Well, you don't have all the right-of-way issues. You don't have.
Well, we
all
do
kinds of
have
stuff.
to establish that we own the building. But,
I
and,
believe that'll be easy.
yeah. So I have some more notes, and I have his timeline here, David. That's how long
How
the
many
years.
years does this go out?
He was saying it may not need to be as long a process as what he's mapped out here. He did put in, there were several steps that he felt didn't need to be done, and I think they're marked by the same date,
Right,
0.
Okay,
So,
so he's got this little
yeah,
arrows going down.
yeah, but it's, and it,
They were hoping that they could have a document in the can ready for, bid by this fall, early winter. That then we could take in the spring and go out to bid and then get the work done. And
By the-
that was that guy's goal. It's like proving the building. He couldn't figure out how to prove it was the building. I said, why don't you just get the deed? Well, typical state, that's not good enough. You know, you can have the deed, you know, with our name on it, you know. And so the fellow was very nice. He's a little young. And I think he has to listen to, you know, the process. And, you know, and we were like, we're sick of the process. We're fed it with the process, you know. You know, but he did agree that some of these road things were like, I don't understand why I have to do them. You know, soil sand, right? It's a roof. We don't have any soil sand. And hopefully that we can go back to the engineering architect firm right down the street
Right.
and do a sole source and basically get a bid proposal,
the scope of the work, I think it
Yes.
was, yeah.
Yeah,
scope of the work bid proposal from them. And we can just hire them without having to go through a, you know,
right, go through
the whole
bidding
You know,
process.
go find an engineer, go back up, drill holes in the roof, blah, 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 so.
We did share that because of our own financial situation, that may be to our best advantage not to do the work
Next year.
during this upcoming fiscal year. But there's some of the work, the steps we can take so that we're ready to go.
Right. Yeah, I would think if you're talking next summer, we'd push it beyond July and maybe even into the fall of 15.
Right, one thing you have to be cautious on, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't say it, but that roof is past its lifespan now.
Yeah.
You know, when it starts
Yeah,
getting
so-
big brown
so this
stains
is
inside,
something
you know,
that we actually thought,
It's only a matter of time.
you know.
But that, he's
So-
going out into 2 years.
2 years, but he, as we talked about it, he
Well,
thought
it sounds like
be-
Mike, we're only talking
Might be
about
able to
between
force it
the time they
down.
thought they could get it done and when we can get it done is a couple of months anyways.
Right, if you
Typically.
look at the year, the fiscal year we're in now, in July, and then, like Matt says, we go for bid in June, you know, it doesn't get, we're actually at 3 fiscal years from now.
Right.
You know, and, you know,
Yeah. Let's hope things look a little better by then. Anything else highway?
yeah, we gotta go back to College Road. to get me
Yes.
decision, you know, because-
Tell us what you know.
Well, what I know is that, and I won't say it on the camera, but we have an agreement with Peckham to buy asphalt ourselves at a price that we just can't beat. So we'll just leave it at that. But that's sitting there in the plan. You know, if, let's just say, if we took the length times the width, times it by .056, you know, we're into like $25,000 to pave around the corner past, what's that lady's name?
Jamaica.
Jamaica Kincaid,
Right.
you know, to go well past her house, okay? That's not putting it down, that's just owning the material. So think about that. Right now, I'm trying to negotiate with a local contractor to, you know, get a lump sum price and then hopefully call our buddies with the big red trucks and us and see what we can do to, you know, limit trucking and put it down in a day. But, you know,
Is it something we can patch, or does this need to be a complete repair? I mean, can we patch it?
No, that is a patch. That figure is a patch. And what it is going down through first and filling all the real deep potholes.
Yeah.
And then putting an inch on top. So, you know, it is, the repair, the correct repair, and I've had, 2 firms look at it, is basically what they did in Mechanic Street years ago, is bow mag it all,
Yeah.
reshape it, new culverts, and be done.
That's $300,000.
Right, we can't, you know, so there it is. I mean, I don't know where we stand on that, and, because, you know, I didn't get the monthly, you know, our state. Is with yours? I can't print yours. I can't even see it.
Here's a copy.
That's got Gail's figures on it? Okay. So, you know, where you stand, how much money you wanna spend? You know, I think you're gonna have to draw a line and say, you know, we'll throw this many dollars at it and do it as cheap as you can and get it done.
And we can't just fill the potholes, that's not an option,
You
correct?
can, but they're just gonna be back next year. If we don't cover, we're just gonna end up with, you know, cracks upon cracks upon cracks, and that's what we do.
Well, I guess that's what I'm wondering is can we spend almost nothing, fill them now, and then look for a full repair next year? Is that even reasonable? That's-
Well, it wouldn't be a full repair, but maybe 2 inches next year on top of all that or something, which might buy us more time. I don't know, you know.
You know, it's, you know, if you go take a ride on it, and we've all
I
had,
have, yeah.
but you stop and you seriously start looking and you're like, I understand why.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to be put down on the machine. You know, you're gonna spend a day and a half with 5 or 7 people just patching the holes.
Okay.
The deep holes, not every one and where the road is out of shape.
That's the
and
other problem. Would that go away with even the 1-inch skim?
Well, here's the deal, if we throw a number at it, you know, we say we throw $1,000 or $10,000 at it, right? So that's gonna buy us, you know,
X number of feet.
X number of tons.
Yeah.
100 tons of X, we're gonna pave until that 100 tons gone, and where we stop, we've stopped. You know, and that's really that road, that's the cheapest way to look at that.
How long do you think it'll be before you have a final number on what it'll cost to do the repair you recommend?
Oh, I can come up with a final number almost now, just not. We just can't, we just can't, we're squeezing everybody so hard, we just can't.
Yeah.
You know, we just can't talk about that. We can in executive session. You know, but we got a few people that are in our best interest to help us out.
Well, so maybe we can have we have a couple, a legal issue and this could be considered contract, I guess.
Yeah.
We could do that just real quick when we wrap this up, so we can move that whole issue along. That sound good?
Yep.
Anything else, sir?
Not at this time.
Okay. DRB, anything? I don't believe so. Fire department, waiting to hear back from Ed, getting his numbers for the, metal work on the back. Water board, nothing. I guess I'll mention kind of another highway thing is today Norm met with Jason again from Del Signor, who's coming to do some repairs and some punch list stuff, final punch list stuff, starting tomorrow.
Oh, I believe so.
Yeah. Some drainage off the corner of that bank,
Right.
on the bank street side, the bank entrance. There's some pooling there. They're gonna run a pipe and connect it into the area that
Right
we,
by the sidewalk.
and they'll put in a couple new pieces of sidewalk and they'll fix that piece of granite that sunk. But, looking at it, there's obviously other damage that, again, design flaws can lead to issues, but there's chunks of curbing that are already knocked loose. Which just might be part of our whole broader discussion about how we approach that. the resolution of some of that. So there's that. Then new business.
I guess I wanted to announce that this weekend on Saturday, the Vermont State Railways are having a 50th anniversary, and they're running two trains out of North Bennington to Manchester. It's a free ride, but they do ask people to reserve tickets. And the last...
Round trip, I hope.
Round trip, yes, round trip. And you go to their website, which is www.vrs.us.com/50th. I'll pass this around, but it's a great opportunity, and
Did any of you reserve, Travis? You gonna be around?
I don't know if I'm gonna be here.
Yeah, I reserved some tickets, but I'm not sure.
I think we're gonna try to go.
It's a fun trip. We did it back when when they were doing the foliage ones a long time ago.
What day is it, Saturday?
Saturday, there's two different times, right? 10 and 2?
10 and 2.
Yeah, I need to reserve those.
It's this Saturday.
And as you said, George is gonna have this open so people can have a place to see inside the train station and.
That's great.
Oh, and Art Whitman had offered up his parking, for parking over on his space.
Oh, okay.
because-
We'll probably need it, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. One bit of new business. Next Saturday, same day, 7 o'clock in the evening, Lake Perrin is having a fundraising event at the Carriage Barn at the Park McCullough House. I don't know exactly all the things they're doing there. Does anybody?
I don't.
But there'll be music, live music, I think a cash bar and some other fun things. If you're a member of the lake, it's free. Otherwise, it's $10 or something, but you can become a member right there, so then you don't have to pay the $10. It's like going to the Museum of Natural History or something, you know. It's $70, but if you join, then you don't have to pay. But that's obviously a great cause, and some great changes are happening over there at the lake, and encourage people to do that if they can. Any other new?
I have nothing.
Old?
I just wanted to check in on how things are going on the ordinance review. Mark had said he...
Yeah, no, I went through the ones that I was assigned. A lot of the ones I had were, some that deal with sewer, I know we've already got to be under because we're on Town of Bennington sewer. And most of the ones that I had were, I think, kind of no-brainers as far as I was concerned, none specifically to mention. The one question is just when we do adopt, or if we do adopt them, we would have to kind of rewrite them just to put, because all of them refer to the select board in Bennington. You know, for noise ordinance, you could get variances through them, we'd have to change that we were the governing body. And then just the process, question on the process on, you know, what ours are now, compare them to see, and, but I was able to get through them, very exciting read. But, yeah, a lot of the ones, at least the ones that I went through, seemed like they were kind of straightforward, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we weren't already doing something very comparable already.
I think part of the process we have to talk about once we all get through it, which I'll admit I've done nothing yet, but we have to figure out how that works relative to the timeline of the charter. It doesn't have to, but it's a consideration. Do we adopt it at the same time? You know, how are we going to do that?
Well, it's a much simpler adoption, I mean, there is a process, but it's certainly simpler than the charter. But,
The section that I have is similar to what Mark is saying, where there are ordinances that, I mean, either they're Bennington's, we have similar ones, maybe a little bit different, but they're already that we don't need the police department to enforce them. They fall under our own enforcement system. And so it's how do you, I mean, it's tying this all together so you can make it easy to know where you go to
Right.
enforce things.
Right, and to make it easy for the police department to have a good
Exactly.
understanding.
And do we keep the numbering the same on the ordinances we want them to have so that it's not,
My guess is yes, so we can, just so we can streamline it for them to work
Right.
effectively within the village.
So aside from the police and the zoning administrator, are there any other enforcement folks people that would enforce our ordinances? I mean,
What about the fire department?
None that I had to read. Now, there was one, Article 27, which dealt with the fire department, but it says it's not included in the book and it's not online, so I'm not really sure how I would go about.
Yeah, that's right, we were wondering about that too.
Yeah, so Article 27
yes,
is Bennington Fire Department Service
reimbursement
reimbursement order.
ordinance.
Right. And there was also one I was dealing with, gosh, which one was it? That had something to do with false alarms. So that would be something too. I'm not sure what our policy is. You're allowed one every 6 months, I think is their policy. After that, you get charged.
For the police
Within a
or
6
fire
month
or
period.
both?
They're both.
Okay.
There's one on private alarms.
Mhm.
They're all mushed into one right now, but I don't know what our fire department currently has as a policy. So those are some of the things that we'd have to check with the couple that I had. We would check with Ed to see what their policy is on false alarms and do they charge? When do they charge? Do they give you a freebie or?
Because this is what came up at our last meeting of being clear who you go to
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
to enforce which.
And the way these are written, it tells you as they're written, who is in charge. So if somebody would call one of us, what we should have is kind of a handy.
Yeah. I mean, what
Resource guide
I'd
as
like
well.
to see is something where, you know, in the beginning of each ordinance, you just have a enforced by. So you don't have to read through the whole thing and find down buried in the end who's
Yeah.
gonna enforce it, just so that it's very clear, which would help the police department, because they could just look and see it's not their responsibility.
Right.
Well, let's keep at that. This is not the time of year for me to spend too much time on it.
And I'm sorry, one more thing on that. So in order for the ease of the police department responding is one of the main reasons we're doing this. So if there's some, like they talk about they have Article 22 is on a municipal cemetery. We don't have a municipal cemetery. So obviously that would be something that we would not adopt, but it's not kind of an all or nothing thing, is that correct?
We don't have to, it's just that if we're going to do it, anything that touches on the police, it would be
They're
beneficial.
right, and they're the ones that requested that,
Right.
correct? Right,
Right.
okay. So something like that. So there are a couple that I did find that just,
Right.
and anything that dealt with water. Obviously, we have our own water.
Right.
And one question I had the animal control ordinance, and who do we access when we have an issue with that? Bennington has an animal control.
That's who we do.
We use
Because I know
the same
we,
person?
yes, and I
We have in
don't,
the
I don't remember
past.
who it is because I've had to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have had to do that too, and it's been thankfully
Yeah.
many years.
I want to say the person's actually out of Pownell, if I remember correctly, the person that, it's just where their residence is, not that but
Okay.
they're the ones that, I can't remember who it was now. But there is somebody, I
But you
think it's the
I think
same.
you
Oh, animal
access that-
control?
Yeah,
Oh, that was Steve.
you access that person through the police department though?
I think I called the police
That's
department.
how that
and they
works.
referenced, and they told me.
And
that
it's
they
not
were in
him.
contact.
It's, we dealt with the issue on Hall Street.
Oh, that's right.
And it was Tracy
Yeah.
somebody, and she still is.
Okay. So there is some, so if you call the police on that, they'll give you the person to contact.
Okay?
So I guess one question I had is how do we want to, after we've each read our sections, how do we want to pull it all together?
Well, I think each of you should make recommendations, certainly, or each of us, you know, as,
Yeah,
you know, as to what you think.
yeah. I think the process would be going one by one and saying.
Right, make
And
your
kind of, we'll
comments.
do a cliff note thing where we say, okay, Article 1 was, you know, and here's historical preservation. Make notes if you have questions. If there are no questions and you recommend it, I guess we put the faith in whoever read it through that.
Right.
And Bill, we're tackling construction.
Yep. How many pages is it? 200?
It's a lot.
150. Got lots of pictures.
Oh, goody.
Okay. Well, I think in the fall, maybe, I'm hoping that we could have a working session or something, go over that, then really, we've got to put it all together into a package. I think that's
You
when
have
we
to
start.
warn it, I think, yeah.
Well, I think even, we might want to, at that point.
The way I
look-
read most of them is gotta warn it, and then once we pass it, there's a time frame from once we vote
Yeah,
on
there
it to
is.
when, so it's kind of a process, 60 days, I think.
Yeah.
And we need to bring the police chief in and make sure that if we're gonna, you know,
Yeah.
whether
Oh,
we
yeah.
adopt,
We're
whether we
not
adopt.
changing anything that would be,
That would be worth having them in on the work session.
It might be, yeah, at
Yeah.
least, yeah,
they're willing.
or the next meeting, so that we know, we have a good
Yeah.
idea of what we're doing, and we make sure that
Right.
that's still gonna work, you know, with.
I wonder if putting this all together is something that the BCRC could help us with. Or if there's even some, you know, just making sure it's packaged appropriately and we're not.
And do we have something that we can look at to what we've got?
I've not found a definitive package of ordinances.
We have a variety of packages, ordinances, we just don't really know all of their origins.
Which actually, interestingly, we should look at, just to make sure we haven't missed anything.
Yeah.
But Bennington's is really comprehensive,
Yep.
which is good, and we don't have to reference the old one necessarily, we just have to know where we're going.
Sure.
The only point to look back.
Yeah, I was
is-
just more curious than anything else to see if we are changing something, we should know what we're changing.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we can, you know, if we get through this and happen to stumble across it and see there's one or two that we'd like to add, it's just a process of
Right.
voting on.
Well,
it.
thankfully,
Warning it, voting and,
ordinances aren't terribly difficult to change, so if we did realize that we needed to
Yeah.
change something 6 months down the road, it's not
Yeah.
too onerous a
Right.
process.
Right.
Right.
Okay. I guess we need a motion to go into executive session for a brief legal discussion and a contract.
Contract.
I move we go into executive session, please.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.